I love your energy. Okay, can you give it to me the rest of the day? We'll wait through this. You can give it to me. Good, good, good. Welcome to our legacy planning launch event. This is something that's really exciting, not just for the FEC, but also across the United States as well. Because the beautiful thing about it is that everyone has an opportunity to be able to plan for their legacy. I know that I'm opting in as a new mom. I'm also making sure that my life is prepared for my future seeds as well. But it's something that everyone across ages can be able to opt into. So again, I know how I have introduced myself to each and every one of you, but I am Ashley Britton, the program manager of the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center. And I'm excited about being able to go on this journey to be able to not just explain, but go on an adventure with you all in regards to legacy planning. And I'm excited about the things that are going to come next to be able to make sure that everyone is informed about this service and making sure that everyone feels that they can opt into this service as well, no matter where you find yourself. So I'm going to introduce our government manager, Marlon Molina, to be able to take us further on this adventure with you all, okay?
Thank you, Ashley. So welcome to the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center. And I always like to say that from the very beginning, this Empowerment Center, although it's a national model that we're doing here in Mount Vernon, it's about partnerships and relationships. I want to recognize Tom Kleiner from the Westchester Putnam Workforce Board and the One Stop Career Center, and then we have OJ in the back. So thank you for welcoming us here in this wonderful facility. And so before we open our doors, we have relationships with nonprofit organizations throughout Mount Vernon. And then once we built a relationship with Westchester County, we started to build relationships with Yonkers, New Rochelle, and Ashley actually has been leading the charge in doing that. And, I want to highlight the fact that all of this is possible because our mayor, gave us the vision, and then the staff went to work to implement. And it's been a labor of love. Oh, okay. It's been a labor of love, but also it's a professional outfit. We have highly trained counselors. And this is a program that was developed by the Bloomberg Philanthropy. So we want to recognize our funder, City Soul Financial Empowerment Fund. And as Ashley mentioned, this is a national event. And Mount Vernon is, as the mayor would say, was at the table. And now we're doing the work here. So having said all that, I want to bring up our mayor, who's going to give us a perspective on what this amazing initiative can do. Mayor Sean Pedersen Howard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. To Marlon, to Ashley, to the team, to Tom, OJ, your incredible workforce team here. In our communities, we're often talking about affordability. We're talking about affordability more than ever. We continue to talk about building wealth for generational wealth, right? And so we saw the Financial Empowerment Center as an option to help people learn how to save, to pay down debt, to improve your credit, to save and purchase a house, to put together a financial plan for entrepreneurship, because we understand that financial freedom equals options, and options equals power. And it allows you to make decisions that you need to make for you and your family. And now we're really excited to add the legacy planning on to that. Because if I can be really, really honest, that's something that Black people and brown people and people who don't see themselves as being rich don't do well. We find reasons to opt out. And I have to say that while I worked in public health for many years, and part of this legacy planning is not just your will and your trust, it's also what you want to happen if you become ill or if you're in a car accident. And so for many years, I worked in HIV/AIDS, and I worked with people on guardianship. I worked with them on what their power of attorney was, who their power of attorney was going to be, who was going to make their medical decisions, because we don't look at those things until we reach what we think is end of life. And you never know when you're going to be in a car accident, have a heart attack, and for years I did that and I advocated for it. But last year when I found myself having 2 life-threatening health episodes, I didn't have in place a power of attorney. I didn't have in place a medical proxy. Those weren't things that I had thought of for myself. And that is what we do. We find reasons to opt out instead of leaning in to some of the things that we need to secure our futures and plan our lives. We opt out. We say, well, I don't need that. That's for them. I'll tell a friend about it. I'll tell a family member. I'll tell someone that's less fortunate. But we work very hard. We work very hard. I deal with unions every day, negotiating contracts. They're fighting for their percentage points. They're fighting for their benefits. My question is, are we fighting to plan the legacies that we've worked so hard to build? Are we making sure that the money we've worked so hard to make and to save is not going to just go somewhere to medical bills because we haven't had those conversations? Are we making sure that we're saving for retirement? Or are we spending on trips? I don't want to work until I'm 80. I want it to be an option. Right? I want to do what my friends have started calling preferment. They don't call it retirement because people aren't retiring anymore. They're calling it preferment. They said, I want to get to an age where I can stop working and do what I prefer to do and get paid. So, right? Preferment. Like I said, it's about options. And so participating in legacy planning allows us to move into preferment and not just saying I have to continue to work because I haven't saved. I have to continue to work because I can't live the lifestyle that I want to live at this age. And if God blesses us to be healthy enough, we want to be able to travel. We want to be able to help kids, grandkids. We want to be able to pass on that wealth. We want to be able to maintain our homes if that's what we choose to do. We don't want to have to move to Florida if that's not what we want to do. We want to be able to age in place in our communities. And in the Northeast, our communities tend to be more expensive than other parts of the country. So not everyone retires and moves somewhere else because they want to be there. They move because it's much more affordable. And so we have to plan now for the life that we want to be able to live later. And that's what the Financial Empowerment Center's legacy planning allows you to do. It helps you to look at your money options. It helps you to look at how you're going to manage your health, even put together a health fund. You know, for as we get older, we have increasing health issues and we need to save money for our little health rainy day fund, right? And these are the conversations, the crucial conversations that we need to have in a very intentional way with people who are not trying to sell us products, but people who are trying to help us save our money. There are a lot of retirement and financial planning organizations, but they're usually trying to sell you a product. This is free. This is free regardless of your income. And because it's free, oftentimes we think that it's not quality. We have people who are nationally trained, licensed, and certified. It's not free. We're paying for it. We funded it through a grant. This Financial Empowerment Center, I think, is about $800,000 of funding for a 2-year period. So it's not free to us, but we understand that we wanted to make it free to our community. And we wanted the resources to be easy to access. And so they have resources available in person, online. They can be here sometimes in the evenings on certain nights, on the weekends. So there's no excuse. We find excuses not to do the things that we need to do for ourselves. And then later we're shocked when we find ourselves ill-prepared to manage our future. And so thank you for coming. We are looking to partner with businesses, with civic organizations, with senior organizations, fraternities and sororities, unions, neighborhood associations, corporations, because these are the conversations, these are the caring conversations. And I'm glad to see some of our police department in the back because y'all are young enough, but you need to think about this now. I thought about it when I was your age, but I didn't act upon it because, again, I found reasons to opt out. I found reasons not to sit down and start planning for my future. And so your portal opens when? Friday? Today. So I'm going to go on the portal and register, right? Because I have the confidence. And oftentimes we don't use local services because we're like, I don't want nobody in my business. Everybody's going to be in your business when you lose your house. Everyone's going to be in your business when you fail to put together your will. Everybody's going to be in the business when your stuff is in probate. and your family's fighting on it, and everybody is in everybody's business now as we're looking at maybe 100 to 150 homes in our community where Big Mama failed to plan. And Big Mama failed to leave behind a will and a trust. And the brothers and sisters fought over who's going to get the house. And the ones who have the means to maintain the house walk away for the one that doesn't, because they don't want to have to take care of the sibling or the aunt or uncle that didn't plan. Right? And so we are losing our houses to people knocking on our doors and giving us cash because we don't know and we haven't planned. I think that's horrible. We have degrees, we have education, and we have opportunity, and we are losing our homes and our generational wealth on the backs of people who were doing days' work and cleaning people's toilets so that we could have a home, and we're losing them because we're not planning for our future. And so let's not disregard Big Mama's house. Let's not allow our family property to fall into disrepair. Let's not allow our children not to have the benefit of college and planning for their future because we're failing to do it today and because we're opting out. This can go so many different ways, and you'll only know what the plan is for you when you sit down. There's not a prescribed plan or path. These are all individual. It's like a menu. When you walk into a restaurant, you don't have to choose a certain menu. You're able to pick what you want for yourself, and you have that here. And this staff is prepared to provide those services to you. So please, as you're here today, think about this not just for yourself, but for people who you care about. To refer someone to this is a radical act of caring. And let's be radical in our caring for others, and let's make sure that we're building generational wealth in our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I want you all, can we all in the room participate in a charge really quick, right? I appreciate you 100%. I want you to say, I'm going to be radical.
I'm going to be radical.
Right? That was a charge that I received from the mayor as she began to go forward, right? To be able to prepare us for what's to come. So I want to be able to have the opportunity to actually present this to you all so that you fully know what you're opting into, to be able to prepare yourself for your future, right? So legacy planning. What do you think? Like, you know what? I'm gonna really ask you a question. What do you think legacy planning is? Yeah. What is legacy to you?
Legacy to me is I have 3 grandchildren. One's 4, 14, and 16. And my grandparents, they did the best they could for me, but they didn't, as the mayor just said, prepare. So I have a house now, I have this and I have that, and I want to make sure I can maintain it. Because my son's like, oh, I would love to have this house, Dad, boom, boom, boom. And I would love to make sure I could leave it to him or plan a legacy of that. That's legacy for me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here with my brothers to support them, but at the same time, now I see this is for me. Like, I can get something from this. You said that so well. It wasn't too high, it wasn't too low, it was right there for all of us to understand. That's my mayor. I think, yeah, that's your mayor. That's my mayor too. Oh shoot, now you got it.
We giving you the microphone.
You lost my train of thought. All right, but basically, this right now everyone's into financial literacy, and this is the best platform. And when our committee of Bigger and Better Business, Brother Steve invited me to come to this, so I didn't really know what it was about. I've been asking everybody before it started, give me your elevator pitch, and her pitch. From what you said, it's like, this room should be flooded with people right now. And I said, well, before it even started, how could I take whatever we're going to get up to Greenberg to not have this there, but just even if we offer this as a one-on-one session where they just learn about it, so now we can bust people down here. So that was my mindset already. As far as being with our committee of the Bigger and Better Business, I said, how could you use us? How can you really maximize us, squeeze everything out of us? So what you were saying, I was getting motivated, and I'm getting radical. You know, I'm already radical. But anyway, I'm getting more radical to become financially radical. I'll leave it there.
Yes. Can we all give a round of applause? That was amazing. We have one more person. We are going. Can you give him the microphone, please? What is legacy to you? What is legacy planning to you from what you've heard so far?
Well, this is one of my favorites because I think legacy planning, right? I think this is so helpful, not just, especially for the community that a lot of us live in, or a lot of people that we're around, right? So I'm gonna say I'm here, even I brought my son here and I'm here supporting. It's so important for me because it's about, people get into it. It's so cliche when people say, I'm gonna spend this money because I can't take it with me. I hate when people say that because it's not really about you, it's about who comes behind you kind of thing. And even though we're here for ourselves, you can actually take this and what you learn and actually multiply it in your family and actually make other people counselors when you have the knowledge of. So a lot of times people don't have the knowledge of, but I think coming here actually is a benefit for that. So legacy planning is not just leaving the money behind, but leaving the knowledge behind so we know better and we do better.
Yeah. Can you go to the next slide, please? Because I believe that really takes us into where we're going in regard to legacy planning. Because ultimately, legacy planning is creating a plan, a formal plan, putting that in action so that you're also leaving that behind. Right? You're leaving something behind for everyone behind you to grab a hold of. That's legacy planning. Granted, the name legacy is like, of course, I'm leaving something, but we're putting things in your hand tangibly so that you're able to actually put it in writing, get the understanding and knowledge and put it in writing so that everyone behind you can understand it, right? So being able to organize your assets, reviewing insurance and titles, updating account beneficiaries, and that's something that I had to do even before I even gave birth to my child, because I said, I don't want the bank to have my money. I want to make sure that someone that I know, that I trust, that I want to leave this to, gets it in their hand without a problem. And that's something that we're really informing people to do, because we want to make sure that they don't have to struggle to get the money. But it's something that I plan for in advance to be able to make sure that it's easy. Because I even know for my family, my grandmother left my mom money back in the late 1970s. And then we searched something online and she found money that was left to her, but it was a process to even try to get it. It's 2 years later and we're trying to fight for something that my grandmother left for my mom. So being able to make sure that this is not a fight for them. Making sure they don't have to fight for something that was rightfully given to them. You're putting a plan in action and formally doing it so that they can understand, and you can also understand that what you can do with your life is possible. Financially, your insurance is putting these things in place, right? And I also want to highlight for everyone, even online, that this isn't something where we're not saying we're lawyers. Hello, we are not doing that. But what we're doing is arming people with the information so that they can then have it and then become the counselor as well, where they're giving the information that, when you try a really good restaurant and you don't want to just hoard it to yourself and you're telling everyone and their mom about how good the restaurant was because you can't hold it to yourself. That's what legacy planning is, right? You can't hold it to yourself because you want your family, you want your cousins, you want your friends, you want your associates to understand the benefit of leaving something behind for someone outside of yourself. Your life right now is just not for you to enjoy. We want to make sure that those that are coming behind you are enjoying it as well. So that's what legacy planning is. And it's going live today where you're able to opt into that financial counseling session to be able to have that accountability partner to walk hand in hand with you. A lot of our clients, we're holding them accountable. They might not like it, but they're going to love it later on, right? Because they understand that, yes, I might have this bug in my ear, but this is a good bug. It's not one of those bees that you swat that's annoying, right? It may be annoying, but it's to your benefit. We're getting your financial health and your financial life in order to be able to make sure that you're informed, you're educated, and you have the tools necessary to actually implement the things that you are getting here at the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center. So you can get into legacy planning today. Is it free? Yes, it is. Madam Mayor already talked about that. The city might be taking the bill, but you have the opportunity to opt into something for free. And we love free things. I know I do, right? Hello. And I want to make sure that I get the fullness of it while it's free in the city of Mount Vernon. But the beautiful thing is that not just Mount Vernon gets to opt in. We heard the mayor talk about the offshoots of the cities around us that's actually benefiting from this. So if you're in this room and you say, oh man, my mom lives in New Rochelle, tell your mom to come to the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center to put a plan in place for her finances, for her insurance, for her accounts, get a guardianship for maybe her children. I didn't even know that you can actually have something set up for your dog. I have a dog. Her name is Marshmallow. She's a toy poodle. She's white and she's beautiful. That was my first child. I even want to make sure that there's a plan for her. God forbid anything happens to me. I want to make sure that my mom can legally take my girl and raise her after me, right? To be able to put a plan in place. So this is for children. This is for your grandsons. This is for granddaughters. That is for that. But there are maybe some other things that are in place in your life that you need to have written out so that, God forbid anything happens, you actually have a plan in place. So this is your marching orders. We're all going to put plans in place to be able to make sure that those coming behind us are set because we put the plan in place in advance. So next, I wanted to be able to highlight, right, the core elements of the FEC. Again, this is no cost, one-on-one professional work that you are doing with our financial counselors, right? It's one-on-one. You don't have to worry about a group setting. Our counselors are working with you on Zoom, on the phone, in person, whatever your preference is. We want to make sure that this is diverse so that you can opt in the best way possible for you. Right? A lot of people may say, oh, I prefer to just sit in my bed on Zoom. That's okay. Let's get on a Zoom in your bed, right? To be able to come up with a plan so that you can be your most comfortable you, being able to get this financial counseling. And again, it's no cost and it's integrated into everything that you do and everything that our city does as a whole. Mount Vernon is committed to making sure that those who live in Mount Vernon and those in the offshoot cities have a plan for themselves financially, right? Because I myself have found myself where I did not have a plan. I lost a job and I was unemployed for 2 years and I did not have a plan in place for what happened next. But now I'm informed to be able to say, okay, let me get an emergency fund in the event that anything happens. That's something that our counselors do as well. We give you the tools, we give you the knowledge, we give you the information to come up with those emergency funds, to be able to attack your debt, to be able to attack your credit, to give you solutions. We're educating you. It's like you're going to school again, but fun, right? Because our counselors are kind of fun as well. I'm just going to toot our own horn, right? We're kind of fun to be able to make sure that you are informed, you are educated, and you're given the tools necessary to be able to create the financial life that you see yourself living. So the next thing is actually going over our core elements, right? We do have those sessions. We cover banking, credit, debt, savings. That's something that we focus on, including Legacy Planning Plug that's launching today. We cover these 5 areas to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. A lot of people accumulated a lot of debt during the pandemic, maybe before the pandemic, wherever you find yourself in that line. We want to be able to make sure that you have a plan for your debt instead of your debt having a plan for you. Because what we find is that a lot of people are being controlled by their debt. But I'm a believer in the fact that I was not placed on this earth for money to run me. I was put on this earth to run money, right? To be able to make sure that I tell it what to do and not have it tell me what to do. So what we're doing is allowing our clients and giving our clients the space to understand that their debt is not in control of them. Yes, they may have gotten themselves into it, but don't worry, you can get out of it. And it's being able to have an entire paradigm shift about money so that you understand, again, money is not supposed to control you. And it's being able to give individuals a new insight on money so that they can really tackle it the way that it's supposed to be tackled. And the way we do that, again, is by debt. We cover savings plans, credit, and banking solutions to be able to give our clients the fullness of what they can get when it comes to financial literacy. The next part. Message. So again, legacy planning and asset protection. Again, we're organizing your assets, reviewing insurance and titles, updating account beneficiaries, and connecting clients to resources that will help them prepare legacy planning documents like a will, guardianship plans, and power of attorney. People get scared when it comes to these things, but I'm the type of individual is that I'm not letting this scare me anymore, but I'm going to take it head on to be able to make sure that I'm preparing my life. Everybody else does it. Millionaires do it. Why can't we? It's about changing the idea about who this is for, to let our people know, black and brown and everyone in between, that this is something that's necessary and it's not something that's an afterthought. The day of putting money under your mattress to save it is over. But we're putting a plan in place so that your money can be secure and that the people that are supposed to get it does get it. The next slide. So again, counseling process comes in these areas to make sure you are financially healthy, right? We do something called a financial health assessment at the start of all of our financial counseling sessions, right? We want to make sure we're not just assessing for our benefit, but we're assessing for your benefit. We're not just getting your business to say, oh, ha, ha, but you're getting in your business. There's something that we do called a money tracker, right? And this is the point where people know where their money is going. We're tracking money to see where it's going. Some people have subscriptions to like Zeus Network. Some people have Amazon subscriptions, Uber Eats, all of these different type of subscriptions that are eating away at our money. And there's something that that I quote every single week, that my reputation will match my investment. And a lot of us are look the way we look because our investments are telling on us, because Uber Eats is our investment. So we look like that, right? So being able to change your perspective on what this looks like and say, okay, I'm not going to invest into Uber Eats anymore. Maybe I order from Uber Eats 4 times a week. I'm going to go down to 2. I'm going to go down to 1. I'm going to go down to 0 and actually cook a meal that will last me throughout the week, right? To be able to make sure that everyone else isn't getting my money, but I'm getting my money. I'm going to put this, instead of buying Uber Eats, I'm going to put this into my emergency fund to be able to set myself up for later in the event that anything happens. So these are things that we actually do, like opening a bank account, using banking accounts actively, adopt new savings behaviors. That's one thing that our clients do as a whole, right? Some of our clients are in disbelief sometimes when they save as much money as they do. And it's just like, you needed somebody to walk with you hand in hand. That's it. That's it. I remember a client of mine said, her daughter said, I can't believe my mom did this. I've been telling her this for years now. And you told her one time and she saved literally $5,000. And she saved that. And her daughter was like, how is this possible? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it just took a different voice, you know? And sometimes it does just take a different voice. Use the voice of a financial counselor and to be able to hold you to the thing that you said that you want to do, to see the outcome that you actually want to see. Can we go to the next one? Because I feel like I covered all of this already, right? Oh, so that's really it in regards to the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center. And again, you can do legacy planning, but also, if you don't say, okay, I'm okay with legacy planning, how about we talk about my banking? How about we talk about my savings? You have a world of financial literacy at the Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center, and I really want to call on you all to opt into it. Why not? You talk about financial advisors maybe, and they're like $1,000 plus. Mount Vernon has the same quality service for free. You don't have to use that $1,000 to get an advisor. You can opt in to get a financial coach, a financial counselor for free, because the city of Mount Vernon has launched this to be able to impact the lives, not just in Mount Vernon, but across, I want to just say across New York as a whole, right? And that's really it. So we're about to transition. Yes, you have questions. I was about to ask, does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
Yes. One comment, one question. Mm-hmm. You use the word free a lot, right? And we are very value oriented.
I know where you're going with
So
this.
my suggestion is that you assign a value to the services for maybe it's a year, and you can break that out so that you can, instead of saying free, you are receiving services valued at, right? Because once you tell me there's a value, there's some cachet to it, right? As opposed to a handout of cheese or butter or other things like that. This is a unique opportunity. And so I think that adding cachet will help, especially since we are value oriented. Question, the brothers of Beta Psi Sigma chapter, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated are here, and we are here as a collective resource, right? But when you peel the onion back, we have real estate professionals. We have business owners. We have others that can add to your pool of resources So I want to know and ask you as we go forward in our partnership how we can leverage the sum of our parts to be of benefit to the community that we mutually serve.
So I will start by saying, oh, Madam Mayor, you want to take that? Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, because if you have entrepreneurs, then there are people who are coming here who also might be looking to be entrepreneurs or invest. If you have real estate brokers, then how can you send the people who are coming to you saying that they want to buy a house, but you see that their credit scores are not good, that you could send them here so that they could work on their savings and their credit scores, and that they can become more mortgage eligible and mortgage prepared? How do you work with someone who you might have gotten into a house and they've lost their job? If we look at what's happening in the country right now, we and what you said was true. We oftentimes, when it's free, we don't respect the value of it. We'll say, well, it's free, so it just has to be for poor people or something like that. Guess what? There are a whole bunch of GS20s in the DC metropolitan area right now standing on food lines because they're not getting a paycheck. And I can promise you that people who make minimum wage are more financially resilient oftentimes than people who are making $200,000 a year. Because when we're getting those steady incomes that are coming into our house, we feel like I am secure, I'm good. If I need to let go of something, I can save money really quickly. But if you lose your job or you lose your health, then that $4,000 a month mortgage that you're paying becomes a very steep hill to climb. And so how are we preparing for health? How are we preparing for a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous financial environment? That's VUCA. You can write that down. How are we preparing for these shifts that we have never seen before? And sometimes the more money you make, the more money that you have to lose, right? So people who are making a lot of money are just as much as risk as people who are not making a lot of money. If you are losing your job and you're making $100 and something thousand a year, or if your SNAP benefits get cut off on November 1st, we're all in similar places, because how many of us have more than 2 weeks worth of savings? And many people don't have 2 weeks worth of savings, but we're flashing. We got a Land Rover, but we don't have a place to park our Land Rover that we call our house, right? So we're busy flexing and we want all of the designer things, but we don't own anything. We don't have a legacy to prepare. We don't have a legacy to leave. And so this is for people who make much money to people who don't make lots of money. But whatever money you make and whatever financial level you are, we should be planning. We should be planning to figure out how we want to manage our lives. And so there are plenty of opportunities for everybody, for churches, fraternities, organizations, women's groups, men's groups, entrepreneurial groups, young professionals. The young professionals of Mount Vernon are partners here. You were actually a young professional of Mount Vernon, right? And so they're looking at it, because our young people right now are living their life in reverse. They're not waiting for retirement to travel. They're traveling first, because they say, once I have kids, I'm not going to be able to travel as much. So I want to travel now, and I want to buy my house now and not when I'm 50, because then at 80, I'm going to have a hard time finish paying off my mortgage and things of that nature. So they want to buy their homes earlier. They want to travel earlier, and they want to plan to have their children. And all of that is part of this work that you could do here at the Financial Empowerment Center and around Legacy Building. So I know you have a panel, and I'm going to move out the way.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we are about to prepare for our panel. We're going to just move the chairs really quickly, and then I'm going to introduce each person individually so that you all can know exactly who is coming up. So give us one moment as we move the chairs, and then we're going to prepare for our panel. just pass it. Keep this. Do you want me to keep it?
Are you the moderator?
Yeah.
So then you can keep that one and then let them pass
Okay.
it.
Ex-husbands and wives on their paperwork, and they have new husbands and wives. And you can't change that stuff after you die, right? So those are all these little.
Was his mother. My grandmother died in 1964. Okay? So, the past 15 years, myself and my siblings have been processing all of this legacy planning because in an 18-month span, we lost our mom as well. Now, as you guys start going through this, it's going to be a challenge. You need to be honest and transparent with your family because the secrets and everything's going to come out, but it's in the past. Leave it back there. You learn from it, but then you have to move forward. We just sold our grandmother's house, literally today. But there was issues because of where the property was. We never knew about it. We never knew about it until you do the title and the deed search and all that. And then you find out, don't let the secrets, the family secrets, really deter you from all of this. Because legacy planning is about learning and researching the future of the past generation so the current generation can properly prepare for the younger and the future generations.
Thank you so much. And we want to just also thank you, Eric, for being here. He is the president, okay? I love that you had the opportunity to stand up, but he is actually the president of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity at Beta Inc. And I thank you because... Oh, you right there. I'm sorry, but my bad. Charge my brain, y'all, not my heart, okay? So, thank you so much. So, I actually, in that, right, I pretty much did a introduction to you. Can we invite Rich PA, the president of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Beta Psi Sigma chapter, a mouthful, but it's amazing to be able to have you with us today, joining our panel. Thank you for being with us. You got a whole army with you today, and I'm appreciate that. Yes. So we're also going to have Marlon Molina join us. He's the government manager of Mount Vernon Financial Empowerment Center. And we're going to have Miss Rafa join us, Kanha Levy, join us today as well on this panel. We're also going to have Miss Linda McKenzie Dougherty join us. Where is she? There you go. Come on to the front. We're going to also have to the front Deputy Commissioner Jennifer Lackherd, who's going to be joining us today as she makes her way. And last but certainly not least, Miss Andrea Molina, who's going to be joining us on this panel. Veteran section. I'm really excited about this panel because as Marlon and I were preparing this event, I said I wanted to have some really key voices within the city of Mount Vernon to be able to give their perspective about legacy planning. So my first question would be to anyone actually on this panel, how do you see services like the Financial Empowerment Center's legacy planning program impacting the people or members you serve? You can turn it on. Rich. There you go.
Okay. If you just forgive me, I'll just read through my notes as I prepare for today. While as a membership, we're predominantly composed of Black and brown professionals, college educated, homeowners, Black business owners, and family supporters. We also represent a broader spectrum of the community of employees, renters, and individuals trying to build our generational wealth. Many of us possess assets we are unsure how to protect or pass on. And the communities we serve face even greater vulnerabilities. Right? Our oldest national initiative, Big and Better Business, reflects our commitment to economic empowerment. And through this program, we partner with institutions like the J.P. Morgan Chase. We have financial literacy workshops at our adopted school in the Bronx. And we've done that for the past 3 years. And it's a 3-part series. So we want to make sure that the people that we do serve, there's consistency to what we do. We just don't want to show up one time, take a photo, and then we're out of here. We want to make sure that we're there and that we're consistent in providing the services that we need to provide for them.
Thank you for that. Does anyone else on the panel have anything to add to that? And I can't see, so I'm going to move up a little bit. Go ahead, Andrea.
So I just want to say that I work with not only veterans that are older, also people that are still serving in the military as reservists, or people that are transitioning out, and you'd be surprised how many people are transitioning out of the military and coming back to Mount Vernon. And a lot of the knowledge out there for veterans is so abundant, it becomes so overwhelming. So it's good to have a local resource not to overwhelm. And before I just go into some topics here, and I'll make this fast, is veterans don't realize that once they're service connected and receiving their benefits, they must also change their beneficiary for their life insurance. Their pension is automatically transferred over at a lower percentage to their spouse. So I've had instances where the girlfriend shows up to file for the veteran's pension, but that veteran is still married. So veterans, and they have been separated for over 10 years, so it becomes very difficult to undo that. And I just want to also emphasize that veteran pensions and service connection money only goes to their married spouse, legitimately married. A domestic partner must be registered with the county to prove, and they must be divorced if they were married prior to living with this domestic spouse. But I feel that, financial literature is so important because it supports emotional stability. We've had issues with suicide. You have kids that leave the military, leave high school, go straight into the military, depending on their job, MOS, they don't know how to balance a checkbook. Let's say for infantry, you guys are out in the field, they don't know how to use a computer, they don't understand about financial planning, and much less legacy building. So this is not only financial stability, housing, emotional stability, preventing homelessness, debt cycles, overall health and wellness, and strengthening family and communities. When veterans are empowered and stabilized, they are the best mentors for children, for peers, and in communities, because a lot of them have been in the worst case scenario. Just want to keep that, for you all to keep that in mind. So thank you.
Thank you for that. That was really, really good and informative. Thank you. So that actually leads us to our next question. For many people, financial stress affects their health and peace of mind. How do you see financial well-being playing a role in overall wellness? And I'm going to pose this to Deputy Commissioner down at the corner.
Thank you. That's a good question. I'm happy that you posed it. So in the work that we do at the Wellness Precinct, which is out of the Mount Vernon Police Department, and we have a wellness division, but we specialize and we look at people who are in crisis from a wellness perspective. How can we help people not from that one, but the 8 dimensions of health and wellness? And most people associate physical health with wellness, and that's it, But there's also social wellness, there's emotional wellness, there's intellectual wellness, being able to keep your mind firing on, all cylinders. There is spiritual wellness, how are you feeling with your spirit, that whole mind, body, spirit connection, and environmental, the environment you're living in, how well is that, or how unhealthy is that for you and your well-being? Financial wellness is another one of those aspects. And so for me, we have two elements that we look at. There's the officer wellness component, and then there's the community wellness component from the police department. So I was drawn to you earlier this year, Ashley, because the city was investing in this financial empowerment center, and we wanted to figure out how to sort of tie that in, because at the beginning of the year on New Year's Day, we had 2 members of service that we lost to death. And in the 5 years that I've been in the department, we had not experienced death internally, thank God. But it was something that we had to deal with. And what I learned was that there was no planning for them. And so when I look at officers who are probably in the most dangerous job that they have, the fact that there is not a focus on how do we prepare you and your family for, unfortunately, something that is possible. It's a hazard of the job. But how we as a department can say what is in place for us to begin to plan. And so that's what started the conversation, was that this is too much. This has hit our department hard, and we really need to make sure our officers are prepared for the what next, their families, and that we can really build this forward. On the flip side, there's also the community wellness aspect of it. Those that we're going to their homes, we're dealing with them at a time of crisis, and many times they are dealing with a lot of financial stressors. So when we look at domestic violence, when we look at a lot of the crime that's happening, it's all driven by people being under a lot of stress. Financial stress is one of the major impetus of the kind of the violence and the anger that we see in the community. So being able to have access to services like the Financial Empowerment Center. My wellness officers are here. I always kind of tip to them, and they oh my gosh, but they're in the room for themselves. So there's that officer wellness piece. Make sure that you're equipped so you can be your best self. But then also when we go into homes of people that are in crisis, how we can now dispatch this additional resource for them so that they can come and they can access this free service. So financial health is really important for just us individually, but then also how we engage with the community.
That's really good. Did you want to add, Sarayfa? No, you didn't? Okay. So actually, I'm learning. You're learning? So actually, Sarayfa, I want to actually position this question to you, right? When you think of the word legacy, what does that mean for the community you represent?
For my seniors. Well, I mean, I know that I deal with them all the time, and a lot of times my seniors, a lot of them don't want to give any information. Mm-hmm. They don't want anyone in their house. They don't need help, but they need help. Mm-hmm. And I mean, for them to sit there and give some information, I think this would be something that they really, really need. And we would love for you to come and let them know, because they don't want you to know how much money they got, and they don't want their kids to know. And just like you talked about the secrets, it's like the money under the mattress. Oh yeah, they probably have that, but I'm not gonna let John take care of that, because John can. And sometimes you have to look at it too, though. With seniors, you have a lot of them that have children that are taking care of things, but not taking care of things. And I mean, they're losing, being the city marshal, a lot of them are losing their own apartments or their homes because of their children, and that's something that, we have to look at. I mean, it's happened, and it hurts being a marshal.
So I have a question that I did not send y'all, right? Because when you say that, it makes me think a little further. How can we leverage or shape this program to be able to really impact communities that do dwell in secrecy and don't really have that level of trust for this type of service?
That's a good question.
Or maybe no one has the full answer. What are your thoughts? I have 3 people who are raising their hand.
Oh, good.
Join in the conversation. I know she did, and OJ will go to you next. Go ahead.
So that was going to be my question. How do you change the mindset? But in thinking about it, it's all in education and maybe a different approach, because you have seniors that are, over 25.
Ooh, I'm a senior now. My God, I'm 33.
Right. And they're used to what they're used to.
Yeah.
And they're going to protect their investment the way they're used to. So my question well, it was going to be my question, but I think education and start going in and encouraging, start changing the mindset. Sometimes even the caretakers is probably where you need to start. The children, the caretakers, the spouse, it's just all in education and changing the mindset. Listen, I'm not a senior yet. And I also have the same issue with, okay, so I got to put my stuff in order, and I'm being transparent here. And okay, so who do I have this? Can I trust this person to handle the stuff that I want to? So how do we start that conversation?
That's good. Before we have OJ that's about to add to that.
So one thing I say is that for most of us, it's trust. So if I look at all of you on the panel, you are all connected to a lot of people who trust you in what you do. Trust you because you're a community member, a community leader, an activist, you belong to a faith-based organization. It starts with trust. So if we would all maybe take the course or learn how to do this and talk to our friends and family, it starts with trust. Because if you don't trust the person, you may know them, you can know them for 30, 40 years, but if you don't trust them with your most personal information, people aren't going to disclose. So I think it starts with us in the room being transparent. I was poor with my money management for many years. I did get a financial advisor. Fortunately, he was free of cost, but he was good and he worked with me. But there was a trust factor I had to get over. Also, you have to be willing to confess that's your weak area and that you need growth. Most of us want to still remain to the public, we are who we are. I'm OJ, and I'm this, and I'm that, and we don't want to share our weaknesses. And that's why some of our communities are in the situation they are, because we failed to tell our children we weren't good in school, we weren't good with money. We don't tell them the bad things, we hide that. So then when they go through this, they believe something's wrong with them because we never confessed our failures. Or I shouldn't say failures, we never confessed what we struggled with. So again, it's about trusting who you're working with your most personal secrets and information. Thank you.
Thank you for that. What I heard you say, and just summarizing it, is that trust, vulnerability, and openness are key.
I just want to add, it wasn't just seniors that had that shaky, like what she was saying, the trust, because I'm 56, and one of my really good high school friends, he's a financial planner down in Atlanta. So I reached out to him. He was like, okay, I'll look out for you, boom. And he asked me for so much information. I was like, whoa. Like, it was so much information, it scared me that he was asking for this. And here's someone I trust. Right. But I still couldn't give him that information. So even in this situation now, I'm looking at it, okay, when she said be transparent, the way you are marketing this, it's making me like, okay, I'm putting my guard down. Right. Mm-hmm. It's allowing me to lend you my ear so I can hear you. I can filter out what I don't want to hear, but right now I'm not filtering out anything because everything being said is like being absorbed. Mm. I don't know if y'all understood what I said, but
we did.
Okay.
I agree. That was good.
So we are about to wrap because we don't want to hold you all past the time, but I do have one last question, right? And anyone, it is open for anyone who, I would charge those who maybe have not spoken yet with this last question. What's one lesson about financial or personal legacy that has shaped how you lead or serve others?
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here today and to welcome the Mary J. Blige Center's director, one of our collaborative partners for the VITA program. The VITA program is the free tax preparation program. And we have a legacy in Westchester County because every recent county executive has supported that program, the operations of that program. The IRS has given us a grant, but that grant does not cover all of the costs to produce that program and to provide free tax preparation services in the Bronx, in Yonkers, in Mount Vernon, in Rockland County most recently, in Dobbs Ferry, and in Hartsdale. So we are so glad to be here today, and we were the direct recipients of the Financial Empowerment Center and their gifts to the community, because they were here on Saturday afternoons and some mornings too, servicing our population of recipients taxpayers who were coming to get their taxes prepared. So we know the value of this program and what it brings to the community and what it potentially will bring to the surrounding areas also. And we feel that the legacy that we can provide is to try to diminish intergenerational poverty, and to also, do you know that so many people are hiding that they're the working poor? I have colleagues who are really suffering, and they secretly go to food banks, and they secretly go places where they can get food for their families. So when you do your taxes for free, when you have your taxes prepared for free through the VITA program, and you receive counseling through the Financial Empowerment Center and their staff, it empowers you to know that you have other options and that there are resources out there and that you can speak confidentially. I am so gratified to know that you will provide services virtually. And that's something that is decreasing barriers, and that we didn't have that last year, so that's good job, good job. And people, I predict that you will see an increase in a lot of your numbers, because a lot of people just don't want to come out and they don't want to be seen. So this is an opportunity to protect them and to build community and to build legacy. So thank you.
So I know we're at time, but I actually want to highlight that this is not our first time trying to bring legacy planning into Mount Vernon. About 2 years ago, at the tail end of the COVID lockdown, the African American Mayors Association helped give access to free legacy planning online to Mount Vernon residents. And we actually purchased 100,000 digital ads, and we focused them throughout Mount Vernon. Take a guess how many people signed up. It was 56.
Oh.
Yeah, and we had our communications team blasting it out via constant contact, and it takes a lot of touch points to get to people. So when Steve Lawrence said, I'm part of a fraternity that is interested in doing something that, like you said, Rich, that is consistent, we said, please, let's work it out. And that's the approach that we've had with all of our partnerships. And actually, I was happy to see a lot of new faces in the room, because that means that our network is growing. Yeah. And the base model for the FEC is that we use the trust that you've developed with the clients that you serve so that we can connect them to financial legacy planning. And that's the approach that I think is going to work best. Not everyone is on social media. And so, the digital ads are easy to do. You can pay for them and then you let them be. And, like I click to stuff and then I just move them out the way. But if somebody comes that I trust, somebody that I'm involved with, somebody that is offering me a service that I benefit from, and they tell me, here's something that you should consider, I'm going to listen to that. And so I thank all of you for coming and for being partners and for working with Ashley and her team. And I actually want to recognize our two counselors, Adenike and Betsaida. And that's all I got.
You took my job, Marlon. You took my job. I was going to shout them out and make them uncomfortable in the best way possible. Can we give a round of applause to Adenike and Betsaida? And the beautiful thing about them is that we do have 2 full-time counselors, but Betsaida is actually a bilingual financial counselor so that we can service multiple communities in Mount Vernon, our Spanish-speaking community. So I do want to shout that out and make her even more uncomfortable. Even though she's smiling, she's uncomfortable. But again, I appreciate each and every one of you who stayed throughout this process, and you all have the charge to talk about the good restaurant that you experienced today, right? You experienced some really valuable information. Don't hoard it in, but tell somebody that tells somebody that tells somebody that tells somebody that this service is available to them so that they can opt in. And it's important. And it's not just important, really tug on their heartstrings a little bit, pull on something that they see value in, and let them know that this is something they'll be able to partner with to be able to further their mission and being able to just spread a legacy all around the world, right? So I appreciate each and every one of you. I think we have a little bit of food left. Take some with you, please. And you have something, Steve?
Question.
Yes.
Would you be willing to make the contact information for these esteemed panelists available to the wider audience because they are great resources?
Absolutely. So if you signed in, right, and you left your email, what I'll do is send out an email post Legacy Planning and send out their information so that you could connect. So thank you for that. Mm-hmm.